to another edition of the Generals Report. I'm your host, Caleb Dunlop, alongside head softball coach Trent Partridge and head baseball coach Kody Gautreaux. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us on this Tuesday morning.
Yep. Tuesday morning.
Everything's just
Chaos.
running together after the holiday break. I mean, I told Tyler on Saturday, because we were home for basketball, that if I didn't show up on Monday, it's because I just forgot what day it was.
That's how I felt over the entire break.
It's
just
anytime I'm
useless.
Anytime I'm out of the office for more than like 2 days in a row, I have no concept of what day of the week it is anymore.
Yeah.
We are in the middle of basketball season, of course, everybody's favorite time of the year, crossover season. Both your teams get going end of this month. Kody, we'll start with you. You're bringing down some teams from the north who can't quite play outside at their home venues. And I know when I was at Coker, we did that as well. A lot of teams from New York, Philadelphia would come down to South Carolina. But we'll just talk a little bit about your season and what you expect.
Yeah. So we're going to open up on January 23rd against Mid-America Christian. They came down last year, played us on the second day of the season. And they're a good team. They've been in a regional final for the last 2 years. So it's going to be a tough test right out the gate for us, but we're excited to bring them down. And then Wiley College, who used to be in our conference, is right there in East Texas, and they're going to come down as well and play us on the Saturday. So we're excited to get going. We've got a brand-new team with a lot of new faces, and we've had, an extensive time in the fall to kind of get to know everybody, them to get to know, what kind of team we're going to be and what kind of baseball that we're going to play. And so now we're just trying to prep them to get rolling, and once we get going, then we'll kind of see where it goes. But we're very excited for the season, especially with some of the talent that we got this year. Our junior college transfers have really stepped up and brought just some youthfulness to the team. We've had an older team for the last few seasons with guys that have been here for a long time, and now you have basically a brand new team with about half of them being new players, junior college or incoming freshmen. And a lot of them are going to have to step up and play big roles for us. And so I think they're excited to kind of see where this goes. And I'm very excited to get going with this group. It's been a fun fall and spring so far.
I walked out to practice the other day and watched you guys hit BP, and I was like, I don't know none of these guys. I knew none of them.
No, it is. It was a big senior class, and we'll talk about those guys moving on and the incoming players as well. But Trent, same to you. Tough non-conference schedule before you get into the Red River, and just tell us a little bit about your season and what you expect.
Yeah, obviously, building off of last year, we was 47-9, I think. So trying to build on that is going to be tough, obviously, but with the returning group that we do have, super excited. We lost 3 seniors last year, 2 that was in the starting lineup, and we felt like we brought in some pieces that make us deeper in all areas. We like to play a very aggressive style of softball. We like to steal bases. We like to hit the home run, the doubles, the extra base hits and things. And so when you return 7 of your 9 that's in that lineup, and then you're able to add some pieces into it, super excited. The one thing that I'm probably the most excited about is that we have depth at pitching. I got a lefty arm now. Honestly, we have 8 girls, and I could see all 8 of them pitching significant amount of innings for us this year. In the previous years, I've had 2 or 3 arms. You look at last year, we had Prim that had to throw 202 innings.
Yep.
So having the amount of arms that we have this year is going to be really nice to be able to conserve and try to get deep into that playoff run.
Both programs lost a lot, whether it be the sheer number of players, whether it's the career home run leader or a guy like Will Weiss who could go out there and just be a horse. And then for softball, you lose Maddie Baker, you lose Haley Primrose, who, as you mentioned, threw upwards of 200 innings. Obviously, those are some big shoes to fill, whether it's going to be one person, whether it's an aggregate of players. But how do you manage that as a coach when you lose leadership and people that serve big roles in the program?
For us, it's each year. You can see from my very first year we had somebody that was coming back that was in that leadership role. And every year we've had somebody that has came back that's still been in that leadership role. And I think it's kind of just building the program for us is that each year we want somebody else to step into that leading. Kody does a great job with their leadership council. And it's something that we tried to take away from them this year. But when you have a group of seniors the way that we do year in, year out, if you're in the program that we're trying to build, you want that older girls to be able to step in and say, hey, this is the way that we do things. And then hopefully you don't have that fall off. Yeah, we had 2 girls that was both all regions, all Americans that, we lost. But when you're building things the way that we want to build them, then you constantly have new girls that's stepping into that kind of that role.
Yeah. For us, it's, can you replace a Blaze Foot and a Will Weiss? You don't know until you go and try to find good players. If you'd have told me that those 2 guys would have done what they did in their career when I was recruiting them, I would have said they could, but I'm not really sure. You don't really know. So for us, it wasn't necessarily trying to replace them. It was just going to find the best players that we possibly could to build a team. I think that's the funnest part about our job on a day in and day out basis is that we get to every year have something new, even if it is a lot of the same players. 1 or 2 guys that come in can really change the whole dynamic of what you're doing as an offense, as a defense, on the mound. And so for us, that was really the biggest thing was we just wanted to go find a lot of talented players and then let them kind of work it out throughout the fall and the spring of who's really going to be the guys that step up. And then you have guys that are in your program that, it may take a few years for them to really get used to how to play at this level and the speed and the physicality of it. And, once it happens, it happens. So when they're freshmen, they may not be ready, but by the time they get to their sophomore, junior, or senior season sometimes, they're ready to go. And so you always have those guys as well. And those are really the ones that glue everybody else together. For us this past season, we lose so many seniors. A lot of them have been in our program for so long. And then we go and find 24 new players, but we still had 5 or 6 guys that had been here for a long time now. And those have really been our leaders. They've stepped up. They kind of made sure that things were running the way that they should when we couldn't watch everything each individual day. And it's really showed on the field of, just the way that we've played, over the last 6 or 7 months. So.
You mentioned something interesting there, and I think we'll come back to just the physicality, the length of the season. We'll come back to that in a bit. But both programs, big recruiting classes. For baseball, NAIA ball had you at the 19th best JUCO recruiting class in the country out of 120-something, 140-something NAIA programs. So talk a little bit about the incoming guys and if there's anybody you're particularly excited about and what you can expect out of that group.
Yeah, we were able to get a lot of junior college players coming into this year that, some had success at junior college, others didn't. But we knew they were talented enough to have success or be good players. And so it's just kind of been a constant teaching and trying to get those guys prepared to play at this level. And so it was really cool to be, recognized nationally for the work of our staff over the last couple of years of just trying to get quality players and junior college players that can come in and play. But it's been really fun just to watch them compete with each other. Our outfield this year, we kind of laugh on a daily basis with them. Like, I think we have 9 of them that could easily help us win games at all times. And so it's going to be a fun battle out there. But we have a few that are going to really step into some big roles. We have a few pitchers from Baton Rouge Community College, Jackson Cowan and Nash Tomplay, that are really going to help us on the mound, strike throwers with good stuff. We have an outfielder, Dalton Wilson, from Tyler Junior College. That's originally from Baton Rouge, won a state championship at Catholic of Baton Rouge and has been to a few places, but he's going to really help us in the outfield with his speed and with his arm and the way that he handles himself at the plate. So, and that's just to name a few of them. We've got 12 of them that at all times are going to help us. So it's been really fun to watch.
And you brought in another 11, 12 freshmen as well that can help you establish a growing foundation for the program.
Yeah. Biggest freshman class we've had in probably 4 years. And that was by design. We knew that after COVID and all those guys that had kind of got some few extra years to play, we were going to have to rebuild that core group that stays together for a while. And we brought in 12 freshmen to start. And it's been very fun to watch them grow as well on a day-to-day basis because they grow at a lot faster rate. They're physically talented enough, but mentally they got to learn how to play this game at this speed. And so it's been really cool, and we're going to have a few of them that help us this year, especially on the mound, that are talented and are going to help us. So we're excited about that as well.
And for softball, Trent, you brought in a lot of players.
17.
You got a big roster this year.
It is.
Good mix of transfers and freshmen. Of course, Lainey Bailey coming in to help out the staff. Just talk a little bit about the incoming players and how you guys have looked so far.
Yeah, I think this going into my 4th year, 3rd time kind of going through the recruiting cycle. Every junior college girl that we've brought in has been a first team or second team all conference. And I don't see that changing this year, honestly. We brought in 4 transfers. You got Lainey Bailey, you got KK Richie. She's going to watch this and say, how did you butcher that? Then you got Sophia Romero, which is, I laugh. Sophia is 5'0" and just plays like she's 6'4". She is going to be absolutely fun to watch. Then you got Rayleigh Duplichan that came in. When we go out and we're looking at that junior college route, we're looking for girls that can come in and immediately help us. Obviously, you got Lainey. That is going to be massive for us in the circle. She brings in that Division I talent that's in the circle that's going to be massive for us. Me and Kody joke all the time, in softball you only really need one arm. This year we brought in some freshman pieces that come in with that that is going to be massive for us. We brought in 2 LSUE girls, both pitchers, and Kate Nettles and Alyssa Butte that's going to eat up a lot of innings for us as well. So for us it's going to be a very fun year getting to watch all those girls, and then you mix in these freshman pieces that is going to be able to come in, run bases, get some pitch hit at bats, and the fun thing is that we're such a deep and talented older girl team that the freshmen don't have to step in and play immediately. So they're going to be able to watch and learn the speed of the game, the physicality of it that he talks about, but the aggressiveness that we like to play in. And so during the fall, we got to watch the freshmen. He said it a second ago, and I started smiling, was that they develop at a much faster rate. And to watch as the fall progressed, how they was progressing as well it was awesome to kind of watch. And to, as he said a second ago, this is our largest freshman class, probably in my entire coaching history. I'll never have another freshman class that's as big as this one, but I felt like this year we was going to lose a lot of pieces, and so we wanted to bring in some freshmen that was the same way. Let's get these girls developed, and let's kind of be moving forward in the right direction. And I think the girls that we brought in is going to do that for us.
So you've both touched on it now, the physicality of it, the mental side of the game at this level, how it changes. And I think it's one of the understated things about both baseball and softball. When you look at the professional ranks, obviously their season is tremendously long. It's probably the longest season in professional sports, a lot of games. They don't necessarily practice as much. I remember when I worked in single A for the Greenville Drive, it was, hey, let's get Chris Negron out during BP, go put him at first base, put a net in front of him, put a net in front of a guy at shortstop, and throw some balls over to him so we can get some work in at first, right? There's not a 3-hour practice every day. There's not, but that change from high school to college, where in high school you're going to play maybe a game or 2 a week, you're going to, at the collegiate level, you have at least 3 games every weekend, maybe another midweek. It's 50-something games packed into just a couple months. How does that impact players when they're coming up from the high school ranks, getting to that pace of play, that length of a season, and cramming it all in?
You can see it as the season progresses. Our bodies begin to wear down. The girls that are not kind of used to that. Honestly, I wasn't used to it when I first got into it. Was that I was coming from that high school rank, and was only allowed to play 34 games in LHSA. And so when you have 34 games and then all of a sudden now you're being thrust into 50 and you're playing doubleheaders are very long, tiring days, and then now you're trying to manage your workload. And I always say that we have 3 different style of practices, or 3 different timing of practices. We have our January practices, that is, we're trying to ramp up for the season, and then until about March, there's a different style of practice that we're kind of going through. And then when we get to about March to May, it's maintaining and trying to manage the workload and making sure that we're not getting burnt out and those kind of things. So you can definitely see the younger girls as they're coming through and they're seeing, hey, we still have 49 more games. And so it's the first weekend, it's the excitement. And then after that, it's like, hey, now it's time to go and work. And, it's always funny to watch the freshmen after they realize that we've played about 15 games and there's still an entire season left to play.
You haven't even gotten a conference play yet.
Got the conference. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the same for us. Those guys coming out of high school. At first, you got to really make them understand and do some drills at practice to really get them understanding the speed of the game, because that's really the biggest difference from high school to college. The game is the same. The people are the same. We have some kids that come from high schools that, have Division I talent and SEC talent all around them at all times. But they get to college and there's still an adjustment period. And so we try to really mitigate that early in the fall so that once we get to the spring, they're at least used to the speed of the game. And then, like you said, at that point, it's really managing fatigue and managing workload and trying to continue to have them do the things that we know are going to hopefully keep their bodies healthy throughout the year and hopefully peak at the right time towards the end of the season. So, for us, that's really our main goal throughout the fall. And then once we get back in the spring at this time of the year is getting their bodies ready to start and then hopefully maintaining or at least getting better throughout the year and, managing workload, like he said, with practice and things like that. But, the biggest difference, with our freshmen or even with some of our junior college guys is just the speed and the amount of time that we take to do certain things to prepare them to, ultimately have success once we get to the season. So
I think you'd probably see it most with pitchers and catchers, right? I mean, just for catchers especially, like, what do you mean we have back-to-back doubleheaders and I'm it? And then for pitchers, I mean, that's a lot of throwing, especially for relief guys who are getting up, getting hot, and then pitcher gets themselves out of a jam and you don't have to quite go in. How do you mentally prepare them for that aspect of the game and that change in mindset from high school where it might have been a little more casual?
For us, we try to run through it in practice. I don't want there to be a scenario that we run into in a game that we've not been in practice. And if we do, and we get put in that situation in a game that I don't feel like I've prepared us for, I feel like I've lost us that moment. Whatever, we may not lose the ball game because of that moment, but I feel like I have not got us prepared for that. And so we try to. Our practices are very fast paced. We're not out there very long. The girls are going to watch this and say, we practiced for 3 hours yesterday. I don't know what you're talking about. But our practices are very short, but they're very fast-paced. There's a lot of moving parts to it, and so we try to build that mental side during the practices. We run our inner squads are always one team has a competitive advantage, the other one doesn't. Trying to put them in situations that are going to come up in game, that when they get that opportunity in a game, that they're not caught off guard by that. And if there is a moment, like I said, if there's a moment that does come up in a game where we are not mentally tough, I can promise you we're going to be practicing on it the next day or the next practice that we're able to kind of get into, because I'm not going to let that opportunity slip away from us. So,
yeah, same for us. We try to put them in every situation that we possibly can during practice, during the fall, during the early spring, so that, like he said, once those things come up during the spring, they've been through that already, or at least have gotten a little bit of a taste of what it's going to feel like. And so we do a lot of those things as well at practice, try to do as many live drills as we possibly can. And, over the last couple weeks of us practicing, we've basically done only that. We really hadn't had a traditional practice. So like we did in the fall, we've just done a bunch of live rep fast-paced drills, not out there for too long, just making sure that we're getting quality work and we're ready to start. You know, you're never truly going to be in the best shape on game one, but, you know, the hope is to be as close as possible and then just continue to get better throughout the year. And then a lot of those things work themselves out, and then, you know, by the time the postseason comes around, you're hoping that you're peaking, and that's when the fun starts. So,
well, we've talked a lot about the incoming players. Let's talk about some of the returners now. Both teams return a sizable group. Obviously, baseball, you had a big senior class last year, so for you guys, a bit more of a reset there. But returners from last year, both seasons kind of ended. I mean, anytime you don't make it to the national championship game, it's obviously disappointing. What are those returners coming back? Or what's the hunger like in the locker rooms?
For us, you know, our last two seasons hadn't gone how we wanted them to, and we have 10 seniors, and all of them have been here for those two seasons. And so for them, they were very excited to get a new group in and to teach them how we do things, and to instill that fire that, look, we haven't had the success that we know we can have. And so this has been one of the easier teams I've ever had to coach, just from our leaders. Like he talked about, our leadership council has done a great job of just making sure that everyone understands what the expectations are on a daily basis and making sure those are met. And once that happens, it makes my job easier. It makes their days easier, because we go out and we do what we have to do. And so our leaders have been great. Josh Cinerillo has been here for 5 years now. He's the only person that has really been here my entire head coaching career. And he's been a tremendous leader for us. Lane Patin played shortstop for us every game last year. He's been a tremendous leader of the baseball field. When he's out there, he makes sure that everyone knows what's going on and what to do. So it makes our job easier on a daily basis. And then Brett Badford in the outfield has been just one of those guys that came in and was very far behind and had to work his butt off to get to where he's at. And he's been putting together some really good at-bats and some really good plays in the field. But he's one of those leaders. He stays very even-keeled, and he shows everyone, not just the young guys, shows everyone how to handle themselves, just by how he handles himself on a daily basis. So those three guys, and, you know, I'm probably missing a few as well. But, you know, our older guys have really been the foundation of what this team is going to be. You know, everyone will probably talk about all the new players that we got in, and the junior college players and the freshmen and everything, but it's really been those guys that have been here and been through the good and the bad that have really made this team kind of stand out in my mind as one that potentially could go out and do some special things, just because they're prepared more than I think any team that I've had. So.
Yeah, and for us, season obviously didn't end the way that we wanted to. Had a great season. We're not taking away nothing from that, but at the end of it, we still was at home, not in the World Series where we wanted to be at. And so the girls came back with a hunger. The older girls, the returners, they've came back and they're pushing. They understand. A lot of I have 7 seniors, and a lot of those girls realize this is my last go of it. And so I think we're very fortunate that, you know, the leadership that we do have coming back. We got 2 girls that was former. It's not very often, I guess you can really say, that you got 2 all RRAC returning player of the years on the same team, and we do have that in Haley Fontenot and Julia Quackernack. I'd tell you, Caitlin Dunbar is going to be in the talk of that this year, the way that she's, you know, handled her fall. You got Kylie Moody that's coming back. You got Camille Lightfoot that's in left field, that set the freshman home run record. You got Molly Sistrunk that's at third base, and then second base is going to be kind of a revolving door at the moment, trying to figure out those right pieces. And I go back to Sophia Romero that's coming into that. That's going to be just a game changer from the way that she runs the bases to the way that she's going to kind of hit in that leadoff role for us. And so anytime that I'm saying that I'm moving Haley Fontenot out of the leadoff spot to a 2-hole. That girl is going to be, whoever I'm putting in that leadoff spot is going to be a very special person. But with that is that our girls, they understand that we didn't end the way that we wanted to. And so the big talk is that we're celebrating the small things. Last year we hit the home runs, we led the country in stolen bases and doubles and all the different statistical categories. But at the end, it didn't help us get to where we want it to be at. And so we want to win the ugly ball games this year. We want to win the 1-0 ball games. We want to win the ball games that we have to squeeze in runs. We want to win those games that ultimately, in the end, got us beat. We didn't have the timely hittings. We didn't have those kind of things. So we are a lot more focused this year on celebrating the small achievements, not the big home runs. We want to still celebrate those because we're going to do that. But we want to celebrate the small things.
One final question. We've mentioned the non-conference slate, season expectations, but both teams this year, a lot of home games. It seems to be flipped from last year where it felt like you were on the road most of the time. This year it seems like 70% of your schedule is at home. Just talk a little bit about how nice it is to be able to play at home that often and what that means to the program.
Yeah, for us, I don't think we leave until March when we go to Gulf Shores. Like March 6th, I think is whenever our first away game is. You play the first 2 weekends. We always play LC host a tournament. We host a tournament. Then you go into that third weekend, and you're going to get potentially a top 5 matchup, which should be rankings don't matter to us at the moment. But with Missouri Baptist, they returned everybody just the same way that we did. They're right there on the verge of being that College World Series team as well. So they come to us for a 4-game series on that third weekend. You go the fourth and you open up conference, and you play the next 2 weekends are actually at home on conference. And then we finally get a road trip to Gulf Shores, which is obviously it's a fun one. But whenever you're able to stay for the entire first month at home, it's game-changing in just the way that you're able to prepare day in, day out without girls having to miss class and those kind of things. It's crazy that we have so many home games, but yet we're actually on the road for more overnight trips this year than we have ever been. We've went to a 3-game series in conference, and so every road trip is now an overnight trip. So the girls are going to have fun with that, obviously. The coach, those are not very fun. But the girls are going to enjoy those. We don't have very many midweeks. We have 2 weeks that we actually have a midweek game. Everything else is on Friday, Saturday. So that's going to be fun to be able to focus on only one opponent for the entire week, as opposed to having to prepare for San Antonio and then turn around and play Olu the next day, or prepare for an LC and then turn around and play Texarkana the next day. Being able to really just focus on one opponent for that week and scout and game plan how you're going to pitch girls and how you're going to attack defensive setups and those kind of things. So it's going to be a very fun year for us.
Yeah, for us, I've always really enjoyed traveling with the team. Road games present such a unique challenge. You go to somebody else's park, they've slept in their own bed, you're on a bus, you get there, you've maybe slept in a hotel, you've played the day before, and now you got to go out and play again. And those games really prepare you for the postseason, but playing at home is also really nice. And with a new team and a younger team, I felt we needed to have a little bit more home series this year. And luckily myself and Coach Mike Burns over at LC have been able to get together and have 2 weekends within the first 4 of teams coming down and playing both of us. So it gives, some of those teams that are, a little bit colder weather at that time of year comes down and get to play 2 quality teams and stay in the same city and not have to travel too much. And so I think that's been really cool to watch over the last couple of years, us try to get teams down here and do that. We did it to start the year last year. We're going to do it again this year. And then, we get to have a lot more home series this year, just kind of the way the schedule worked out. And so I'm very excited for that. I'm excited for our fans to come out and parents get to come out. With our addition of our lights last year, now we can play night games. And so on a Friday night, parents can come down and watch, their kids play. So I'm very excited about that, and just to be able to stay home a little bit more and, like he said, a little bit less stress on the body, especially early in the year this year for us.
I know it puts more on you guys, but there's a lot of games that is where softball and baseball is playing on the same weekend. And from a fan aspect, like it's fun to be able to, hey, I'm going to go watch softball. And then we actually got a couple kids that have brothers that's on the baseball team or those kind of things. So they're able to just kind of walk over and watch baseball as well, or leave baseball and walk over to softball. And so from that fan aspect, whenever you have so many games that's really on campus, it brings to life that campus atmosphere.
It's going to be. I'll apologize in advance now because I have no idea how we're going to staff split for some of those doubleheaders. But we'll make it. We'll make it work the best we can. That'll do it for us here in the Generals Report. For Trent Partridge and Kody Gautreaux, I'm Caleb Dunlop. Thanks for tuning in and have a great